This program is produced by Eagle Mountain Apostolic Resource Center. To find additional episodes of this program, as well as other content, visit eaglemountain.tv.
I found the devil.
The devil?
I found him.
Really? Is this him?
No.
In this wheelchair?
No. He's over here in this bucket. I kid you not. There he is. Mr. Sin!
Oh my
Not
goodness.
bothering us anymore.
And I remember her saying, okay, you're going to play Mr. Sin today. And she hands me this purple puppet with a nasty mustache. Pop the little puppet up, and literally on cue, 80 kids out there all, boo, no, God, I hate that guy. I was like, man, these guys are trained on cue. Like, I don't know if they got candy for doing that or what. But
Oh, man. They just want to come down on
deep
someone. I
theological
guess.
teaching. Deep theological teaching.
Well,
Hey everyone, welcome to Together We Build. My name is Chris Behnke, and I am here with Prudence O'Hare. Prudence, how you doing? Oh wait, I am not supposed to say how are you doing. I have been learning all season to not say how are you doing. Instead, I'm going to say, what is your favorite beverage? You didn't see that coming at all, did you? Your favorite beverage in the whole
oh, I like peach tea,
Peach tea.
cranberry juice.
cranberry juice. Wait, do you ever like a peach tea with cranberry juice?
No, that's gross. Ew.
Come on.
Yuck.
Have you tried it?
No.
You don't know. It might be amazing.
No, I'm sure it's not.
I'm going to need that cheers button.
No, you're not.
How are we going to do a
Right under
contest?
there, right under there.
How on earth can we do the
As long
trivia?
as you promise you only push it one time.
Okay, I promise.
Okay, everybody who is watching your witness.
By the way,
One
I have had
time.
thousands of people write in and tell me they love the cheers button. It's their favorite part of the whole thing.
Thousands of... Okay.
Hundreds of thousands. That's not actually true. But we have had people say that the trivia, they love the trivia. So, that's actually for real. People have written in multiples. Actually, multiples. Okay, so this, my dear, do you know what's special about this episode?
It's the last one of the season 2.
It's the last one of season 2. You thought I was going to hit it again, didn't you? I was getting...
No.
My lips are parched.
No.
I was just going to get my drink. They say never drink or eat on a microphone.
Yeah,
You know why that is?
Because it sounds really irritating.
Try it.
No, I'm not doing that.
All right, let's
Not
get on to
irritating
this.
our audience.
We are going to be talking about something I think is really important called drifting on this episode. We're going to dig into what that is and why it's a big deal. And I've got a little timer here. So when you hear a fun music, that means we have 1 minute to wrap up. So that's good. But before we do that stuff, we definitely must. It is absolutely required to do the trivia. Are you ready? Now, for season 3, are we going to keep doing the trivia for season 3, or is this it?
I don't know.
We don't know yet.
We'll have to talk about that.
Buckley's got that paper. We're not sure if we're going to do the trivia. So this, I don't know what we're going to do, but this very well may be. It might be. I'm not saying that it is, but it might be the last food trivia ever that you ever get to hear.
Well, you better
I
make
don't
it
feel
good.
like you're giving it the appropriate weight that it deserves.
Just make it good, Chris.
Okay,
Just
I'll make it good. Now, I can hit the cheers button one time when you get it right, correct?
Yes, one time.
Should we test it to see?
No, we
Okay,
do
we're
not
gonna
need a
test it.
test.
All right, you ready? We did this one. We definitely did this one. Cross it out. Pizza margherita is a typical Neapolitan pizza made with tomatoes, mozzarella cheese, salt, extra virgin olive oil, and what culinary herb?
Basil.
Basil. Man, I want to hit it twice. Basil. Basil, that is exactly right. Did you know the answer to that? Did you know that it was basil? I doubt it. All right, next one. What British chocolate company produces cream-filled chocolate eggs known for simulating the texture and appearance of a soft-boiled chicken's egg? You know, when you read it like that, it sounds disgusting. This is a British chocolate company that makes these.
Yes.
I know you know it.
Cadbury.
Cadbury. You thought I was going to hit it twice, didn't you?
No. Because you're a man of your word, and you said I'm only touching it once.
So now I've been planning to hit it a whole bunch at the end, but because you threw that whole man of your word thing out there, now I can't. You've ruined my ability to hit the button twice. Okay, introduced in 1962, Sonny the Chuckoo bird is the mascot for what chocolatey General Mills cereal brand? Sonny the Chuckoo bird.
Cocoa Puffs?
Cocoa Puffs. I'm cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs. You are Prudence. I don't know what's gotten into you, but you are absolutely dominating the food trivia right now. Okay.
Well, I was homeschooled as a kid, and food was important. You know, I didn't get a lot of class.
Let me ask you a question. Did you actually like Cocoa Puffs?
Yeah, if I was served Cocoa Puffs when I was a kid,
No.
I would have liked them.
No.
They're a whole lot better than grape nuts
Grape nuts is not a food.
or raisin bran.
Grape nuts, raisin bran, I don't know, the jury's out.
Cornflakes,
No, listen to me.
still.
Grape nuts are used to clean up oil spills. People think it's kitty litter, but it's actually grape nuts.
Well, whatever the case is.
By the way, there's no grapes in grape nuts. So, false advertising, General Mills. What leafy green? Okay. What common leafy green is native to Persia and is often associated with specific cartoon character who made his maritime debut in 1929?
It's a plant?
Yeah. What leafy green, plant?
Oh, spinach.
Spinach. That was a
Spinach.
tad bit of cheating. Okay, bonus question. Who is the cartoon character?
Popeye.
Popeye the Sailor Man. Crossing these out. You are dominating the food trivia. Okay, are you ready for the next one? What larger variant of the sweet banana is frequently used for cooking? That's my trivia asking a question voice. My trivia question.
Larger is a plantain.
Plantain. Come on. This is the first time where you actually are getting 100%.
Oh, what do you know?
Okay. What 10-letter coffee drink has less milk than a latte?
Americano.
Does an Americano have any milk in it?
I don't know. I don't drink them.
Think about the Americanos that I get, because that's what I drink. How much milk is in them?
Okay, I guess 0.
0.
So it's a... Okay, cappuccino?
I'm going to give that one to you just because I do all of your coffee stuff and you're coffee ignorant. Okay. Just 3 more, and that'll literally be 10. That's kind of excessive, but let's do it. The simple Italian salad known as a caprese salad typically includes tomatoes, basil, and what variety of cheese?
Mozzarella. Fresh mozzarella.
Oh my goodness. We're headed to 100%. You just have to get 2 more right. Can she do it? Can she do it? Can she get 2 more right? Let's just see. If you get both of these right, I may hit the button more than once. What privately held corporation founded in 1911 in Tacoma, Washington is the conglomerate that has not only its namesake bars popular around the world, but also M&M's pet food and animal care services? What's the candy company name? What is it?
Mars.
Oh my goodness. We are almost there, ladies and gentlemen. We're looking at, can she get this next one right? Okay. Although back, collar, and jowl all exist as cuts of this cured meat. The most popular is streaky, which comes from the pork belly and is often served as a side dish during breakfast. What is this type of salt-cured pork with a name derived from an old High German word for buttock? That was the most intense long trivia question ever for a one-word word.
Bacon?
Praise the Lord. You actually got it right. So, bacon is actually German for buttock.
So,
Interesting.
yeah,
That's interesting.
bacon equals. I gotta write this
You're
down.
making a note of this?
Yeah.
Okay, bonus question. Spanakopita, I'm positive that's not how you say it, is a savory pastry typically filled with spinach and feta cheese filling. This makes sense considering that Spanakopita translates almost directly to spinach pie in its home country's language. What is this home country? This is your bonus question. Just guess a country with fancy food.
Spain.
Greek. That was
Oh.
Greece.
Why
That
did
was
you give me
Greece.
the bonus question?
No,
I
it doesn't
didn't
count.
get my
Doesn't count.
100% streak.
No, that's a bonus. Doesn't count. So you got 100. You got 100%. I don't think that's ever happened in 2 full seasons of Together We Build. You have not scored 100%. By the way, here it is. Bacon equals buttock right here. You can see it right here, folks. I don't know what this is.
That is a little
Bacon
no,
plant.
no. It's
It doesn't grow on
it's a
plants.
light
Just so you know.
fixture.
It's a light fixture. Oh, I like that. That looks fancy. Okay. Let's move on. Let's move on to the topic at hand. So let's talk about this topic, which we are calling drifters. Drifters. So, living in the 3%, how to not drift through life, living in the 3%. So,
So, are you saying that drifting is 3% of people, or people that don't drift is 3%?
I'm saying that 3% of the population is not what I refer to as a drifter. That means 97% of people are drifting.
Well, where did you get this statistic at?
Well, it's not really a statistic. It's an opinion. It's not a statistic.
Yeah.
It's just my opinion.
Your opinion.
Yep. Yeah. So, you want to talk about it?
Mm-hmm.
You want to tell people what drifting is?
Well, I looked up the definition,
Okay.
but drifting,
Oh, you did?
yeah, means to continually move from place to place without any fixed home or job. So a hobo, roamer. This wasn't in here, but I added it to just not being anchored to anyone or anything.
Man, I love that. Not anchored. I feel like that's dead on.
So it's literally just wherever you want to go.
Mm-hmm.
You don't know where you're going to be. You are aimlessly moving.
Yeah. Yeah. So I love that. That's the actual real definition, right?
Yeah.
So I think that's absolutely perfect. What I define a drifter as, the real actual definition fits perfectly. But when I'm using it in this context, basically what I believe, and I think what we believe, and I think what your Bible clearly says, actually, is that we're all created on purpose for a purpose before the foundations of the earth. In other words, God knew right now at this moment in time, whenever you're listening to this, which might be, whatever, might be soon or it might be 20 years from now watching it on an old replay. But if you're alive right now because God designed you to be alive right now. He made you on purpose for right now. And he didn't just decide for you to be alive right now. He actually made you for a purpose that fits in with his will. So a drifter is someone that exists in life. They might be a great person. They don't have to be a bad person. They don't have to even be sinning with a little star by it. They don't have to be like a sinful person or a bad person or anything. They might be a wonderful person, but they're what I call drifting through life in a manner that is not anchored. That's why I love that not anchored thing. Not anchored to the reason that God made them. So if God designed someone to be delivering his kingdom as a barista in a coffee shop, like supernatural, like spreading God's kingdom through every cup of coffee they make, and he literally designed a person for that, and like he thought in advance before the history of the earth, I want, Larry to be just this incredible whatever, and he made them for that. But then Larry isn't doing that, he's doing something else. That's what I mean by drifting. So a lot of people, I feel like what happens is they just kind of, life just happens to them, and they're just kind of going through, again, not necessarily a bad person or anything like that, but they're just going through existing without purpose. That's what I'm calling a drifter. That's what I define as a drifter. So when we talk about drifters, that's what I believe is happening. And I actually feel like this may be just that I'm just negative and grumpy, but I actually feel like 97%. So 97 out of you take 100 random people, 97 of them are drifting through life.
So we're not really talking about an actual hobo person. This is just the picture of spirituality that is happening in a lot of people's lives.
Yeah, it could be, they might be a super high powered executive of a Fortune 100 company and they might make $50 million a year. They don't have to be homeless at all to be a drifter by the definition that I am imposing on it.
So what you're saying, or what you're trying to say is that many of us do not have anchors in, and by anchors we mean like commitment levels.
You mean, are you asking?
Yes.
Yeah. So like, it doesn't mean Christian and non-Christian. I'm not saying 97% of the people in the world are not Christians and 3% are. It actually is not necessarily related to Christianity. It's actually living life kind of in a paycheck to paycheck kind of manner. I don't even mean financially. I mean,
Although
like,
a lot of us do that.
although a lot of us do that, but I'm not even talking about the financial part. It's more like the mentality. It's like, I live for the weekend, and my 2 week, which is TWOWEEK or TOOWEAK, vacation.
Mm.
And that's what my life's about. It's like, man, I can't wait till Saturday when I can go fishing. Nothing wrong with fishing on Saturday, okay? But if that's what your life is about, that's drifting. If your life is about, man, all I can think about today is getting home and putting in my fantasy football picks. Nothing wrong with fantasy football. But if that's what your life is about, you're drifting.
So working to survive to the next break.
Yeah. But you could be like a trust fund kid and have all the money in the world and not feel like you're in survival mode and still be drifting. It's any time, it's not really a financial thing, although I think it's often reflected as such. It's anytime you're floating along and life is happening to you instead of you doing life according to God's design. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
What do you think about that? Am I right about that? Because we've had a lot of discussions about drifting.
Well, yes, and I think that takes us to the question number 2 is why does the devil love this so much? Why is it such a First of all, why is it so easy to do? Why do we gravitate to it? Because it's easy.
Yeah.
We're always wanting to take the easy route,
Yep.
the easy road, because it's easy.
Yeah.
Nobody wants to do the hard road.
Right.
And scripture says the road to heaven is narrow.
Yeah.
It isn't wide.
The road to hell is paved with good intentions. I heard that somewhere. I don't know if that's true.
So it's the easy, wider road. And why does the devil love it when we live our life as a drifter, which it means we're living aimlessly, not anchored to anything really, and living kind of without purpose?
Yeah. Yeah. So I'll go first, then I'd love to hear your thoughts too, Prudence. But I feel like the reason Satan loves this is very simple. You have to start with the understanding and premise that God has called us as Christians as part of the church, big C, big church, the church, like all of Christianity, with a mission. And the mission that he gave us right before he left earth was go into all the world and make disciples of nations. That's called the Great Commission. So he didn't say make disciples in nations. He actually said make disciples out of a nation. You got to make the whole nation into a disciple. So to do that is a big job. It takes a lot of time, a lot of people working together with kingdom mindset. So I believe
So it wasn't just saved, it was saved and discipled.
and discipled. Yeah, so that's a really good point. Is it's not just about going in. Okay, so let's back up a second. I feel like the reason you said that's very important. Actually, why did you say that? Saved and discipled.
Because I think that a lot of us have this idea that once we get our free ticket to heaven, that's all, like, it's free.
That's it.
That's it.
We did it.
We did it. We get to just continue living the way that we want, the way that makes us happy, the way that, whatever floats our boats, that there is no consequence anymore for anything that we do because we're in the heaven club.
We're in the clear.
We're in the clear.
Got our pass.
In the heaven club.
We got our
and
ticket.
That's it. Like, we hang our hat and say, oh, nothing more to know about that.
I've got my paper boarding pass printed.
Yeah.
Dialed.
Exactly. So, but that's not.
Let me talk about. I want to dig into that. Can we dig into that?
Sure.
Okay, so there's two sides of that. There's one side, which is the more relationship, purposeful, theological side. And that is that God created us for a purpose, and he tells us what that purpose is, which is essentially to bring heaven to earth, if you will. So he teaches us how to pray on earth as it is in heaven. He wants us to establish with kingdom principles our behavior on earth, so much so that it's like it begins to look like heaven. It's very clear in Scripture. Not all Christians really even believe that, but it's very clear in Scripture. This is how we should be living out our life. So if that's true, then it's important that we're like thinking about that as we approach this. If your focus is getting your boarding pass to Heavenly Airlines printed, and once you have it in your hand, then it's cool. You can put it in your pocket and go watch football. You're not doing that part where you're making earth look like heaven. Like you're going to heaven, that's great, but you're not doing that other part. Okay, so that's one side of the coin. Here's the other side, pure practical standpoint. If we're supposed to go into all the world and evangelize, and when you have somebody that is got a heart for evangelism and they go out and they get someone saved and they get them their boarding pass, if that person just goes with their free boarding pass and sits at the gate and waits, essentially is what you're talking about, not doing anything, that person isn't that effective, the evangelist.
Right.
Because they can only, average person lives whatever, 83 years or 78 years or whatever it is. Like you're only so effective. So if all those people that evangelist goes after and gets their ticket into heaven, if those people just sit there with their ticket at the gate waiting to depart the earth, that's not an effective ministry. But if you actually take someone and help them grow into maturity through discipleship, then you're duplicating yourself. So, for example,
in this like word picture that you set up, where people have gotten their ticket and they're just decided to sit in the depot and wait for the train to come in, basically, to go to heaven. But for those that understand that we are to be discipled, to disciple, make disciples, that those people have their tickets in their back pocket, but they're out in the town collecting more people to go to the train depot. Basically, they're not just sitting there inactive.
Yeah, yeah. So like, I'm just doing some quick math. Real quick.
He is using a calculator for something.
Okay, this is a little bit weird. I had no idea we were going to go this way, but I feel like it's important. So stick with this for a second. If you train people that the goal is to get their ticket and sit in the waiting area, then, and one person is on fire to get all those people, then they go around the world. And let's just say that every week they can get one more person witnessed to. They can get one more person saved, right?
Or
1 week.
or even not just evangelism in the outright evangelism. I mean, we're talking about everything that we do has the ability to touch somebody else's life.
For sure. I'm just saying with this mode you brought up that
Mhm.
a lot of the church, actually most of the church kind of believes, hey, the whole goal is to get someone saved so they get their ticket to heaven. So if you just say, let's get really practical for a second. Let's just say an evangelist that's called to that, and they're getting those people saved. Let's say they just do one a week. There's 52 weeks in a year. That means they can get 52 people saved a year. If instead of having that mindset, we actually have what I believe is very clear in Scripture, a mindset of ever deepening relationship with the Lord through discipleship and understanding what our calling is. And let's say if part of our calling is also evangelism, and I'm not saying that it is, but just for the simple math, if that same person in 1 week goes and gets one more person, you have two. And instead of saying, hey, other person I got, go wait at the gate with your ticket to heaven, and that's what this is all about. Instead, they also are duplicated through discipleship and they become like the first person. Now you have two people. So the second week, two people go get two more. So you're 2 weeks in and now you have 4 plus 2. So you have 6. So we're 2 weeks in. The other person only had 2. Now we have 6. So right away we're significantly more, but it's still not a big number. On the third week, now you have 4. Actually, you have 6, but let's just go with the 4. 4, go get 4 more. So now you have 8. On the fourth week, the 8 and the 8 go, and they get 64. The fifth week, the 64 go get 64 more, and now you have 4,096. And on the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 weeks, the 4,096 all go and get one more, and you have 16,777,216.
Well, this sounds like the parable of the talents is kind of what you're sort of talking
Yeah,
about.
it's kind of like, and I'm not trying to make an equation out of salvations or anything like that. I'm just saying, from a practical standpoint, what do you think God's design was? For people to just get saved and sit on their butts? Or to actually go bring
No.
heaven to earth? And I'm just
Yeah.
saying, like, if you just look at it from an evangelism standpoint and you're duplicating yourself, which is what Jesus did. He went and he trained people and he was duplicating his ability to go into the world at the time and actually spread the gospel. He took himself and trained 12 people, and those 12 people transformed the whole world.
Mm.
If the whole goal of Jesus was to get the 12, get them their ticket to heaven, and then they didn't do anything, they sat on their butt and watched football, we wouldn't be here today. You see what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So when we just look at this, That's why the devil likes it. He wants the drifting.
Yeah.
I don't think he's okay with anybody's being saved, but he's kind of okay with someone being saved if they don't do what God made them to do. He's like, "Ah, man, we lost one to heaven,
well,
but
it's like the second best thing.
the second best thing
It's
is
like the
to
second
get them
best
to sit
thing.
on their butt and do nothing."
Yeah.
Right? Like I'd rather that they die and don't go to heaven, but the second best thing is if they're going to go to heaven, they just go on their own by themselves and don't do
Yeah.
the thing
Let's
God
render
made them
them
for.
ineffective as a soldier.
Yes.
So we used to sing this song, The Lord's Army. I'm in the Lord's Army.
I'm in the Lord's army.
Yeah. When we
Let's
were
go.
kids. Did you sing that in your Sunday school?
Yeah.
Okay.
Let's sing it together
I
right
bet,
now.
I bet
Ready?
you really love
1,
that.
2.
No, we're not
I'll
singing
wait
it.
for you to start. Kick it
Okay,
off. Okay, I'm
but-
going to use the cheer. No, just kidding.
But just
kidding.
like as a visualization, you need to consider that when people get saved, we are added to the Lord's army, right? Well, just imagine a picture of a military right now, like
Yeah.
all lined up in their uniforms. They're all standing in a row in attention. Like nothing is out of place, right? They're trained,
They're dialed.
they're dialed, they are alert, they're aware, they are ready for instructions. And then when they get the instructions, they do them. Okay. All right. So now let's just imagine an army where you've got an entire group of people. They're disheveled looking. There's a few that
Bunch
look
of
sharp.
slobs,
There's a
bunch of
few
slobs.
that look sharp.
But most are slobs.
But most, like, their shirts are untucked or stained or ripped.
Oh my
They've got
goodness.
buttons missing. How about the fact that somebody's sitting there on their phone? Well, they're supposed to be in attention. Somebody, their gun is broken.
Yeah.
Somebody's missing a shoe.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's just a mess.
Yeah.
Just an absolute mess. You've got a couple back here that are talking with each other, not paying attention to what orders are being given out.
Yeah.
This is a visual of Christians joining the army and not really being purposeful about why they're there.
Yeah. Exactly.
They're in it,
Right.
but they're doing nothing
Right.
to help the situation move forward.
Right.
They're not ready.
Right.
They're not prepared. They're not listening. They're not paying attention to who is giving them instructions.
Right.
It's just a mess.
Yeah.
How are we supposed to be effective even as a group if
we
we've
can't.
got so many Christian people that are saying, "Yeah, I follow Christ, but I do what I want.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I don't have to be involved with what everybody else is doing."
Yeah.
Um
Drifters. I mean, that's
I'll
just it.
I have no idea what the Lord is saying or what he has said or what direction we're even going.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, that's my little visual that just came from this kid's song, actually.
I'm in the Lord's army. Yes, sir. So hopefully if you have heard this song, it is now stuck in your head for a week.
Yes.
That'll teach you.
Yes, sir.
I love the analogy that you're using because, if you think about something like an army unit, like obviously in order for it to be effective, it takes collaboration. Everybody has to do their part. So like if you're in a tank, right? I don't know how many people it takes to operate a tank. Let's say it takes 3. They're doing different jobs. Like one person's steering, one person's navigating, one person's shooting the weaponry. I don't even know if that's how many, but the point is you have different jobs. If everyone's doing the same job or no one's doing their job, which is what I would propose drifting is, then that's not an effective tool for the Lord. That tank is now out of commission, essentially. It might sit there and look pretty, but it's actually worthless if it's not doing what it was intended, which takes everybody doing their part. You don't do your part, then you're now ineffective at God's purpose.
Yeah, exactly. So we can take a look at what has our modern culture done to help facilitate this massive amount of drifting mindset that has just really been popular,
Yeah. Well,
really been growing popular by the day.
yeah, I mean, so in the last, I think it was the last podcast, we talked about the last episode, we talked about that message that I gave, and we talked about the happiness epidemic. So if you haven't seen that, go watch the last episode. But basically, in that, there's this study, and it was something like 90 something percent of Gen Z people believe that the single most important thing in life is their personal happiness. And then it was like 67% or something like that of millennials believe the single most important thing in life is their personal happiness. And so if you look at like the working age of young people, so 18 to like 35 or something, roughly that's like the working Gen Z plus millennials. It's like 70% believe that the most important thing in life is their personal happiness. So if that's the mindset that culture has created, it's very difficult to see the purpose of the greater good and how you're supposed to fit in. And I think that culture has like had this bizarre shift to where we believe that actually everything is about us. And the reason that we believe that is like there's a lot of reasons, and we could do 5 episodes on that. And my personal belief is that that's largely caused from the belief in evolution and all these various things. But it doesn't matter. At the end of the day, culture is like pushing this agenda that the most important thing is your happiness, your personal happiness. So if that's what you believe the most important thing is, it's going to be really hard for you to activate your purpose that God made you for, because it's likely not related to your personal happiness. Now, I believe if you do it, you'll have more joy and personal fulfillment than any other way. But like focusing on your personal happiness is definitely different than understanding your assignment from the Lord and living it sacrificially in obedience. What do you think about all that, Prudence?
Well, it's a lot to wrap your brain around.
You were thinking about something else, weren't you?
No,
Oh,
no, I wasn't. But basically, this is hard. I mean,
it's true. It's not the easy path.
it isn't the easy path. It's the most rewarding path. Usually the hard paths are the most rewarding.
What's interesting is you say that is that same study says that that group that believes happiness is the most important is actually the least happy of all the age groups that are living today.
Yeah. Well, you can't really put, attack and nail down emotion and feeling and save it.
Right.
It's fleeting. It literally, it's like it's just kind of like the wind. Whichever which way it's going to go is how it's going to land. And that's how our emotions work. And happiness is an emotion. It's a byproduct of something else, which I think that we've talked about in the past. But so why does it seem like learning what our purpose is feels so hard and difficult?
Well, I think one reason, I think there's several reasons. I think one reason is that the enemy, like Satan, actually legitimately does not want you to figure this out.
Mm-hmm.
So remember, if God's got a purpose and a plan for every single person that he ever made, and Satan hates God, he wants to stop God from his plan being carried out because he hates it. And if you figuring out how you fit into that plan helps the plan move forward, He wants to stop you from figuring that out. I mean, from that standpoint, it's pretty clear. It's difficult to do. What do you think?
Yeah. I I think that that in the technical age, and as it's been, you know, been being ushered in by all that it has to offer.
Are you worried about the Buckley is over here
Please,
scratching his. Hi, buddy. You got to be a good boy, not a bad
it
boy.
has its good points, and we talk some about the tech side of things here on the show in the past, and it does have a lot of good things.
You mean
But
technology?
yeah, technology.
Whenever
So
you say technology like that, I cannot not think of Kip singing about technology at the end of Napoleon Dynamite. Just so you know.
yeah, do you have the
No, I'm
sentence in
not.
there?
I'm not doing it. We might stick a clip in there.
Okay, so anyway, but what I'm trying to say is that with the cons of the technical age, I feel like, our brains have just really been put into like a matrix type
Yeah.
thing where we are so consumed all the time that we literally don't know what it's like to sit in silence
Mm-hmm.
and be okay with it. Be
Right.
just be okay sitting there in a quiet spot and listening.
Mm-hmm.
Um or without, something in our ears.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying that, it's all bad, but what I'm saying is that um finding our purpose takes listening to hear God's voice, but also it takes hearing ourselves and what the music in our own DNA, which our DNA is actually musical notes, by the way, scientifically speaking, what that song is. So you can't, if you don't take the time to get real with yourself, to be quiet and still with yourself, you can't understand yourself and actually feel the reason and the purpose that God designed you with. Are you drawn to certain things? Do you know if you're drawn to certain things? Am I drawn to a certain instrument? Am I drawn to a certain textile? Do I think about, building something? Do I invent things in my mind? Do I take the time to listen to myself and see where my heart is starting to go into and wander and walk into?
Mm-hmm.
Do I think consciously about, well, what am I actually thinking about? These are ways that we can tap into finding our purpose.
Yeah.
And those little inklings that we have gifted inside us, they will start to sing, and you will start to hear what they're actually trying to tell you.
Yeah. Totally.
And then you start following that. You start asking the Lord, is this where I'm supposed to go? And more often than not, when we start understanding our song that the Lord has designed us to be produced into the world, then you will start to understand your purpose. And that purpose will develop the more and more you step into it and start understanding what direction you're supposed to go.
What I wrote down here is we can't hear the Lord if we aren't quiet enough to hear, or we aren't setting time aside to listen.
Yeah. I actually physically just get crabby and grouchy when there's too much happening. Too many parties to go to, too many people to meet and talk to, too many errands to run, too many boxes to check off, too many same old things that you have to do every day. And you start to feel the strain of it all when you don't have the time and space to pull up on the brakes and say consistently, I need to do this because this is where I get filled. This is where I hear my orders as a soldier in the Lord's army.
Yeah.
What I'm supposed to do next, who I'm supposed to talk to next, what word he wants you to think about.
Right. Yeah, there's this thing I talk about in the Nexus training. Basically, how I believe a very important way to kind of connect to our purposes and our assignment is by understanding this. And what it is that understanding the truth that we really only have three things. And we all have these three things. The first is who we are. So the person that God made us. And I believe that, tools like the Nexus profile and the God design stuff work that we do is an incredible way to understand the who. So this is like our design, our original design, who we are. We have that. So we have who we are. And the second thing is we have, sometimes I call it what we are, but really what that is our life experience. So like the way God made you plus a lifetime experience of doing electrical work can make you into a great electrician. So we have who we are and what we are, or really our experience. Sometimes I call it the lesson plan God uses to teach us. So that's all of our mistakes, victories, everything we go through. And then the last thing that we all have, and this is it, is some unknown amount of time. We don't know. Some of us get minutes. Some of us get 100 years. Some of us get a little more than 100 years. But somewhere in there, we have a certain amount of time, and only the Lord knows how much that is. We don't know. We have some unknown amount of time in which to learn and understand what God made us for and then actually do it and live it out.
Mm-hmm. And again, it comes down to the health of our hearts in this. The health of our hearts, the absolute desire to actually want to know who God is and to love him from an authentic place.
Mm-hmm.
He knows our hearts. He knows what's in them. And he is the ultimate and final judge of everything. So while we don't propagate, the fear factor here, there should be a level of understanding of fear, both in respect and both in the idea that you don't want to be separated from the Lord in eternity. Never mind what that separation might look like.
Right.
Let's set that aside. But the separation, can you just imagine the separation, the absence of the Lord's Spirit?
Yeah.
In a place where you live. And just go think about that. What does that look like?
Just go think about that. She said, drop this bomb. Go think about that.
Yeah. So We can preach and teach all day long to people that they need to develop and understand their purpose of why God made them for be, because they love the Lord and because they understand that everything that they do in life affects somebody else.
Right.
We aren't just made to serve ourselves
Right.
and to be by ourselves. We're made for each other and as a gift to the Lord.
Yeah. Yeah. So, I mean, I love the way that you're talking about it, and I love the weight of it, because I think that one of the problems that we see right now inside the church is that it's kind of become our culture, especially Western culture, kind of has decided that the church's job is to like become another service. So like, I need to get my oil changed, I go to the oil change place in my car. If I need groceries, I go to the grocery store. And so if like my back needs adjusting, I go to the chiropractor. And if I need my fire insurance, I go to church on Sunday to make sure that I don't, go to the fiery place. And so it kind of has become this thing where Christianity is like the service to address the spiritual need that's built into everyone. And it works pretty good for a short period of time, but over a long period of time, and it's not even that long, let's say, I don't know, a couple months, it begins to feel hollow, because actually God designed us for a purpose. And Christianity, God was not designed to be like oil changes.
Right. He didn't design us to come and warm up the fabric on the chair.
You mean on Sunday?
Yeah.
Pew warmers,
Yes.
back when we used to have pews. By the way,
Exactly.
that's a lame name, pew. But anyways, yeah, exactly. Like, he made us for a purpose. So like, it can feel great for a while, and there's seasons of your life where you may really just you're in a season where it's very difficult, tough, and maybe you're going through a crazy hard time, and you really do need the church is there to help you purely. But long term, the right picture is one of health, of understanding your purpose, figuring out what God has called you to, and then growing to where you can step into it. Which, if God's called you to it, you'll have to grow. If He's called you to it, it'll be very difficult, it'll feel uncomfortable, and you'll have to grow to actually do it, because He creates a scenario. What I experienced my whole life and what I've witnessed is that He always creates these scenarios that require us to step out of our comfort area and actually step into partnership with Him to actually do it.
It's hard.
And that's hard. But what you said, Prudence, and what I feel like is so important is that is where the purpose and the joy and the fulfilled life comes from. And that's actually where the happiness is birthed from, the joy that you have from actually doing what God made you to do.
And it's still hard.
And it's still hard.
It's hard.
Don't end on a
Nope.
downer.
We're not going to sugarcoat
We're
it.
not going to sugarcoat it, but don't end on a downer. Let's give some encouragement real quick. Little pump them up. Should I hit the cheers button? That'll cheer people up.
Oh,
Oh,
there's
that
our
means
little
we have 1
timer.
minute to wrap it up. Doesn't that sound nice? Listen to that. All right. So, with that in mind, turn the timer off. We're about out of time. Don't want to end on a downer. I mean, I really think that that ultimately this is amazing news, and it's exciting because if you can identify and learn and develop a relationship with the Lord, where you can begin to understand the purpose and reason behind why He created you, that is where it becomes incredible. And that's where that kind of service and relationship with the Lord becomes incredibly rewarding and powerful and life-giving and life-fulfilling. And like you said, it's very difficult, but what I've found, and I think what we've found, is that the most important things are often difficult. Maybe they're always difficult, but it makes the victory a lot sweeter when you have to work through all of the stuff that kind of the enemy puts in your way to get there. And God designed it that way on purpose. So be encouraged as we're wrapping up this entire season. I feel like if you just tuned into this one for the first time, we have an entire season. This is the last episode of season 2. We're headed to season 3 next, which is going to be amazing. But we've spent a lot of time this last season unpacking some of these things, everything from your identity, what you are from like a Nexus profile standpoint, your original design. We talked about deliverance. We've talked about all kinds of theological things, as well as some, supernatural things. And it's been powerful, but interwoven through all that, I think there's this theme that Prudence and I really, really believe in, which is beginning to learn and step into and understand and develop your relationship with the Lord so that you're not going around the base of the mountain, but you're actually going up the mountain. You're ascending up the mountain in your deepening relationship with the Lord is so critical and so important. And as you do that, you actually begin to experience the life that God designed you for. So with that, thank you for hanging out with us this whole season. If you haven't seen the other episodes, go check them out. Season 1's amazing also. You can find all of that on Eagle Mountain TV, which you can find at eaglemountain.global. So if you go to eaglemountain.global, click on the TV button, you'll find it right there. Season 1, Season 2, plus, actually, Eagle Mountain TV is 24/7 broadcast. There's other incredible programs by a whole bunch of people that we love and know, our friends, and amazing content. So you got to go check all that out. Also, producing and creating and doing all this work, it's very difficult, time-consuming, and is expensive. So if you've been blessed by this, we would love it if you would support this ministry and everything that we do at Eagle Mountain Apostolic Resource Center. You can click on that Give button and just consider supporting us monthly through that Give button. It would be amazing if you do that. It helps us to continue to produce amazing resources like this. If you want to find out more about Prudence and I, you can go to chrisandprudence.com. All of our ministries, all the things we work on, everything from Prudence's books to God Design Platform, and everything we do is all there. And we would love to hear from you. So write in, let us know what you love, what you don't love. You can tell me how amazing my bald head looks. I've actually gifted all of my hair mantle to Prudence so that she can fully live the hair life she needs to.
Yep, big hair.
Big hair.
It's important.
It's important. Wait.
You better wrap this up.
I better wrap this up. We're way over time. All right, you guys. I'm going to hit this cheers button on the way out, and we'll see you guys on season 3.